In case of emergency, I would ask that you exit through the side doors to the parking lot. We're going to stand for 30 seconds of silent prayer, followed by the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you take the roll?
Supervisor Megan.
Present.
Councilman Carter.
Present.
Councilman Hanley.
Present.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from August 26, 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving over to the held over public hearing, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Yes, I would ask that we have a request for a new public hearing because the ethics board has revised the code and there are substantial changes to it. So we would ask that it be scheduled for a public hearing. And on behalf of the ethics board, I would ask and recommend that you close this particular public hearing.
Very good. I'd like to make a motion then to close the hearing and ask the town attorney to schedule a public hearing to address the changes made.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 1 is from town attorney. Attached is the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation revised Schedule A, order on consent regarding the sanitary sewer overflow abatement. The original order of consent was executed on the town in 2004, subsequently revised in 2008. The revisions in the attached revised Schedule A afford the town additional time to investigate and take corrective action in phases 9 and 10 of the project. Please adopt this resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign the revised schedule order on consent number R9-200306225-33.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Yeah,
All in favor?
yeah, no, wait.
Aye. Motion carried.
You're supposed to go to the public first about anything on the agenda, right?
We didn't today. Item number 2 is from Tina Hawthorne. Attached is municipal cooperative agreement for shared animal control facilities prepared by the town of Orchard Park. Please adopt the attached resolution and authorize the supervisor to execute the agreement.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Sheila,
Item number,
Sheila, excuse me. I think you should give the public the opportunity to make comments. That's the procedure we adopted, and I know,
sure.
I
Does anybody have a comment?
Yeah.
Comment, not question and answer.
I have a comment on the consent order. Could we request the DEC to have a meeting with us in the public before we sign this thing? And I would also like to say, on the consent order, there's a new thing in there that says the town shall continue to enforce the existing sewer code and should consider modifications of the code to include time of sale provisions to more completely address I&I originating from private property. Time of sale provisions may include such things as the installation of sumps and sump pumps which discharge to the stormwater conveyance system to replace foundation drains that were connected to sanitary sewer. I think that's imposing a hardship on the people that have these homes that were built to code that haven't changed anything. Why should they be forced to change that?
It will not be forced to because that just says that the town should consider making that a mandate, not that the town shall or is obligated in any way to do that.
So you'll put it in writing. See, what I'm worried about is if I go to sell my home, when this comes out, that's gonna depreciate from my home, because somebody's gonna say either, I'm gonna have to do it after I buy it, or I'm gonna have to lose 15 to 20% of my selling price because I gotta do it before I sell it.
So in order for that to happen, again, this is a consent order, and it would, what we would call in the legal world an unenforceable provision, because it literally isn't obligating the town to do anything. It's saying that who's ever sitting up here on the town board should consider that. That would probably likely result in making a change to the town code, which would be heard, and there would be a public hearing. So in terms of that being a provision of concern, it isn't for me as legal counsel.
It's for me, I own one of the homes in
Right,
question.
but it's not requiring you to do anything.
At this
And
point,
anything that would require you to do something would be something that would come before this board and be subject to a public hearing.
And Dave, if you recall, we already, previous administration prior to my time had put in a lateral ordinance, and this board repealed that lateral ordinance many years ago,
right,
if you recall.
right.
So it would have to be new legislation.
I don't think there's any need for concern. I seriously doubt if the next board will even consider this provision. I just don't think it's doable. We don't know, but,
I understand, I'm not gonna argue, and I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, I'm just making a
No,
point.
we appreciate your concern, you're not the only one
But-
who's had it.
But what I would like to know, since I think 5 and 13, all the inspections are done, the basement inspections, smoke inspections, everything, how many homes are in that predicament? You know, if it ends up with thousands and thousands, that's one thing, but if it ends up where there's 50 homes, it's not a problem, and everybody should know that there's, the problem is minute instead of a big problem. It's just, if the information is there, it would be nice to share it.
I wouldn't have those numbers, because those inspections are done by an engineering department.
Okay.
So that they hold those numbers.
But they would have it.
But they do have those numbers, yes.
Okay, and never mind. When they inspected, though, they inspected laterals also, right, with the camera?
No, that's not true. They're just doing basement inspections, making sure that stormwater is not sent into the lateral.
But they put the cameras down the sewers and
They would
all.
never touch the lateral, Mr. Kim's, because if they damaged it, then we'd be responsible for it.
No, I know they didn't go up them, but they said they could look up them and they'd be able to tell you if there was a problem.
Well, our cameras will allow that, but we didn't do that to anybody's home. All we're looking for was the illicit discharge, that was all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Anyone further?
Susan Kim's, 99 Covington. When they came and they filmed, when they did the smoke testing, when they looked up the sewers, I was in the back of the truck with Daryl Kroschek. He looked up the lateral.
Yes, the truck has the ability to do that, and if a homeowner asked them, they would look up the laterals. But
The other
they don't do
homeowners
it-
would not have known to ask that.
They don't do it as just a practice to look up other people's laterals unless there was a reason to go to that lateral.
Sue, my understanding is, and I work with the sewer people quite a bit, when they say look up the lateral, they stop at the line and they physically will shoot as far up the lateral as they can. But the camera will not enter that lateral.
And you're correct. And what
So they're just looking, like you
Right.
said, and they can only go, what, 5
Because
feet maybe.
after that was done at a town board meeting, I did ask this board, if they saw a problem with the lateral, would they notify the homeowner? And Mrs. Megan answered yes to that.
Yes.
Ms. Kim, just for clarification also, we're also talking about two different things. What Mr. Project would have been doing with the sewer truck in the main and that testing is different than the inspections that I was referring to.
He came back because I complained about a problem.
Okay, yeah, so it's not the regular inspections that just so the public knows, it's not the regular inspections that I was referring to, where the engineering department comes in, they go into your basement, and they make sure that your sump pump or any storm drain is not hooked into your sanitary line, so it's not going into your regular sewer. That's what the DEC is trying to avoid.
So, with all due respect, and I'm not trying to irritate anyone on this board, if this provision is not something that you agree with, why is it not removed at this point before you sign it? If the provision stating that at a later date that you can enforce or change a point of sale to make a homeowner pay for something that their house was built to code. But this provision says that you can change that later.
It's part of the overall negotiation, so we agreed that it would be considered, but that it would not happen. And again, from the perspective of legal counsel, that's an unenforceable term, so it does no damage to the town or its residents to keep the clause in there that people will think about it.
In the last code.
And to be clear, to finish that answer, we are in the best negotiation power with the DEC. Part of this consent order is to make sure that we don't have a problem where we're being fined $37,500 each and every day back to 2003, that there was an overflow. So we're picking our battles in those negotiations, and this was not one that we needed to fall on the sword for when it doesn't require us to do anything.
Previously, we had a consent order, we had an order saying that the laterals had to be removed in any house built before 1985. This board, I believe that, I may have the wording wrong, but we had a large meeting up at the Birchfield, and then that wording was taken out, that the homeowners did not have to replace the laterals. Damaged or not was the wording.
Which consent order are you referring to? We've only had two prior. There was the original in 2003 and then a second in 2008.
Mr. Hart, do you remember the meeting up at the Birchfield?
I certainly do.
I'm not sure which consent order that was.
I can't recall the specific section of the code, but there was a section that had been created where if you were selling your home, you had to inspect your lateral, and if the lateral was damaged, it needed repair.
But that was in the
That was
code, right?
required. That was required in the code.
That
And
Not
that
the
was
DEC
repealed.
consent order, it was the code. That's two different things.
No, it was if your home was built before 1985, you had to replace your lateral.
Damaged
before
or
you
not.
sell it.
Yeah, I don't recall,
Whether it was bad or
that's
not.
so long ago, and we repealed that, and it's past history, and it would obviously be up to another board at this point to look at that issue. Now, what I was told back in those days is I believe that 60% of the infiltration of the water into the sewer system even today comes from those laterals that are damaged. Many of them are just simple clay pipes, and they've fallen apart over the years. So, in order to prevent problems in the future, I think the previous board had wanted to pass that law, and they did. And it was not popular, if you recall, to the understatement, but anyway, it was repealed by this board. So this board has no desire to appease the DEC and follow guidelines that they're trying to give us. As our attorney has said, it's not binding on us. We're not going to do it. If the next board wants to consider some kind of policy or plan, that's the next board's decision.
So we really don't have an idea as to how many homes were built with this type of a lateral you're speaking of.
At one point we did, but if you recall, it was if the home was sold on the lateral. So every time the house was sold under that old law, you had to replace the lateral. So,
I don't remember that wording in
yeah,
the order.
that's what I recall of it specifically. And if you recall, there was a great deal of opposition from real estate agencies and agents, and because of that provision. So it just was not a workable provision of our local law, and I felt it should have been withdrawn, and it was.
Okay. I, again, question why, if it's not something that this board chooses to use or to do, why it's not removed.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, have a good night. I'll be back at the end though, thank you.
Yes.
Anyone further? Okay, moving on to item number 3. Attached is the Ethics Board Advisory Opinion regarding Mr. H, Mr. D, and Tina Hawthorne, our town attorney, is requesting an executive session. I need a second.
Second.
So what I'm requesting at this point in time on the question is that it appears from the reading of the advisory opinion that the ethics board is not requesting that this town board take any action, and therefore I would recommend that it be received and filed.
I make a motion to receive and file item number 3, ethics board advisory opinion.
Second.
Anything on the question?
It's not a question for the attorney. If in the future, the legal action that has been initiated is addressed and resolved, could the ethics board revive this issue, or would it require an additional complaint, a new complaint, and then a review?
In my legal opinion, it would require a new complaint, and there could be, issues of res judicata.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 4 is from Matthew English, our highway superintendent. Please change the status of the following buildings and grounds department part-time seasonal laborers to part-time laborers effective September 1st, 2019 at a rate of $11.10 an hour, having the supervisor sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 5 is also from Matthew English, our highway superintendent. Please change the status of the following buildings and grounds department employees from part-time seasonal laborers to part-time laborer effective September 1st, 2019 at a rate of $12 an hour. Rick Mingo. Change the status of the following buildings and grounds employees from part-time seasonal laborers to part-time laborers effective September 1st, 2019 at a rate of $11.10 an hour, having the supervisor sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 6 is also from Matthew English, our highway superintendent. Please change the following highway department part-time seasonal laborers to buildings and grounds part-time laborers effective September 1st, 2019 at a rate of $11.10 an hour, having the supervisor sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 7 is from Daniel Denz, our chief of police. Please authorize Detective Lieutenant Kevin Baranowski to attend the 32nd annual Colonel Henry Williams Homicide Seminar, September 22nd, 2019 through September 27th, 2019 in Albany, New York. This is an annual training event that our officers have attended in the past and will not exceed the cost of $1,500, and there are sufficient funds in the 2019 police training course line to cover this expense.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 8 is from Justice Jeffrey Harrington and Justice Shannon Filbert. Kindly authorize the submission of JCAP grant application in the amount of $7,297.62. This grant money will be used to purchase a computer service cash counter for the court office, authorizing Maureen Brownsey, court clerk, to complete the necessary application and submit to the New York State Unified Court System.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 9 is from Candace Whitman, our town assessor, respectfully requesting authorization for Eric Finbar to attend the annual meeting and training seminar through New York State Assessors Association at Lake Placid, New York, September 22nd through September 25th. There are several courses offered that I feel that will benefit him with significant law changes.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We have a walk-up. Please accept the retirement of Chris Hicks effective September 6th, 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in
I
favor?
wish Chris said.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Yes, absolutely. And then we'll, reports of Jacqueline Belzer, our town clerk, for August of 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval of the warrant?
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, anyone from the public that has a comment, feel free to come up.
I'm John Walker, I live at 12 Mayfield Drive. Our patio associate was recently reassessed and our taxes increased just like the houses in the town. We are currently informed that although our tax increase will be effective in October, our garbage pickup service will not be in effect till January 2020. Why is such a lapse in taxes being paid? And we're not getting the provision. Now, this is from our association that they called, and let me read this quick. Mike Harmon and Santo made numerous phone calls to the town attorney, the superintendent of highways, and the town supervisor, and no one returned till early this one morning. Sheila Megan, the town supervisor, called and informed Mike Harmon that she would like the town to start picking up garbage and recyclables at the end of the year. If we're paying taxes now, why are we doing that? She could not address any specific questions to Mike. Do you have an answer for that?
Well, sir, actually, I did call him after he came to the meeting, and we looked into it, and we're working with Modern Disposal because of the carts. We don't have carts to supply you with. And what the town attorney is also working with Joe Hickman from Modern Disposal. Our hope is that they'll continue, and that in the interim, we'll send the bill to the town. But until that time when we have the carts, we will lay that out. There's also an MOU, a memorandum of agreement, that the town of West Seneca's vehicles go on those private roads because we do not own your roads.
Yes.
And there's issues with sewers and everything further down the road that could affect any kind of situation. So we're looking and covering ourselves all the
Why
way
would the
around.
sewer have a problem?
Well, we have heavy trucks, sir.
Your trucks are nowhere near what Modern has.
Well,
They're
I'm not
bigger
gonna
trucks.
I'm not gonna argue with you on that. I'm
Well,
just
I
gonna
know.
suggest to you that the memorandum of agreement is an important one because it's a private road. And we would have to have that before we put our trucks there. We also will have to purchase the carts and lay that whole thing out. This isn't just 100 locations, sir. There are several hundred locations that need to be taken care of.
I understand.
And we're
I'm
working on it.
concerned with ours, not the rest of it.
Well, we have to
That's-
address all
well,
of
I'm
them.
concerned with all of them, because every neighborhood's important.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone further? No?
I really think it's gonna be way before that.
Could I just ask one question before we go? I mean, if we're ready earlier, we'll start earlier.
Yeah, in fact, the target date with Modern, we're shooting for November. And it's not just about our trucks going on the private property, but we're gonna have to have a memorandum of understanding regarding our trucks and all of Modern's. Right now, Modern has been provided a list of the parcels, and they are getting back to me on who they're already servicing, and I wanna say it was over 400 parcels. So we're taking it very seriously. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a process. We're trying to get it in place as soon as we can.
So my understanding, the memorandum of understanding is, number one, to protect the town and the town taxpayers, all of the taxpayers. This is private property that we're gonna be sending our trucks on, and there could be damage. We could have damage to automobiles, there could be damage to town vehicles. So, my understanding, attorney, is that the memorandum of understanding will cover all of these issues that we can consider. I know it can't cover everything, but most.
Right, and not only our trucks, but Modern. And once Modern has done the analysis of which parcels, like let's say they're already servicing your association, then they know that they already have an MOU for those trucks to go on those properties. Otherwise, we're gonna have to negotiate our own, or you're gonna have to take the bins out to Union Road. The other thing is, those recycling bins that you have with Modern, if they're who you're contracted with, are owned by Modern, and then we have to provide different bins unless they're gonna sell us those, and those take a while to come in. There's a whole bunch of issues that have to be coordinated.
And we have been addressing them. And our hope is that it is November, sir. But if we tell you November and it doesn't happen, then you're gonna be right back here disappointed, so.
But we knew about this before.
No, we just
We
found,
knew
I just found out.
about paying more money in taxes quite a while ago.
Well, I just found out about it when Mike Harmon came to me. And when he came to me, we responded. Matt, myself, and Tina. Yes.
Susan Kims. I have a question to Lauren, if I could, for recreation. I'm wondering if Lauren actually tracks the number of children that she services. You know, how many residents the recreation does actually service every year. I guess I'm wondering, is she looking at more children participating?
That is something that I do track, Sue. We started that in, I wanna say, late 2018. I have some of the numbers on me, but I don't have all the numbers on me, so I wasn't prepared for your question, so I apologize. But I do track it by, for example, like adult skate, over 30, open public skate, youth open gym, resident, non-resident in a column with a total number. If you want a breakdown for the past 3 years, if you send me an email, I can send you that information just with specific numbers. It wouldn't have any names or our program participants' information on them. And then I guess just to give you an idea, in 2017, we served 6,364 total. In 2018, we served 12,623 total. That may not have been youth though, that could have also been our adult programs or our programs with open admission.
Okay, I was very curious because it seemed to me that we had a lot more participation going on with the different programs.
Sure.
But I'll send you an email.
Yeah, definitely, and I can send you our chart, and I guess just off of that, before this meeting, Councilman Hanley and I were talking about the Veterans Park Aquatic Complex this season, and we did see a 26% increase in our attendance rates this year there as well.
Would that be the pool or just the splash pad? Or?
That would be for the large pool only. Unfortunately, there is really no way for us to track how many people are in the waiting pool at a time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kim. I apologize, I didn't have all of that.
Anyone further?
Good evening. My name's Ed Runsay, and I live at 79 Norwood. And this is an easy one. I'm here to recognize the Highway Department. For years, our property has flooded because our driveway and garage are set below the level of the street. And all sorts of different things have been tried to fix this problem. We're on a corner, so everything coming down South Warren will end up in our backyard, in my driveway, garage, if there's a major water event. We had one recently when two water mains broke, and it started to overwhelm, my property. And I know I sent an email to Sheila and one to Matt, and I just want to say thank you. Matt got Kevin Smith on the job. Kevin got crew over. We had to first figure out where the storm sewer was. We got that straightened out. So now I have a large storm sewer receiver in the street in front of my driveway. And we didn't know we had this problem when we bought this house. So it's a huge relief knowing that I don't have to think about it anymore. So Matt, to you and Kevin and Kevin's crew, they work really hard. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Anyone further?
Hi, Sally Giudello, I live on Mill Road. Just a quick question. I noticed when you get off the 400 on Union, you turn right into the town. A few houses on the left, I know I mentioned before a few years ago, there's a few eyesore houses in a row there. And I noticed that a couple are for sale right now. Do you know anything about those? Are they going to be torn down, do you know? Is there any kind of future plans? They're next to like Mooney's. There's a couple, like 3 houses in a row that.
Well, I can just tell you that we've been in contact with the owner of that property for quite some time. Also had court cases involved with the conditions of the house. She did put them up for sale. A gentleman in our office just spoke with her the other day, and she's talking with family members considering doing a demo. She doesn't take action soon. The town may have to consider it. We've already reached out to a structural engineer for the town to get an appointment made to have him come and look at both of those houses there. So that's where we're at in the process as of right now.
Good, okay. And Any other plans in the works for anything coming into the town, any businesses or restaurants, anything on the horizon? No?
We do have, I mean, you're probably aware of Louisiana Foods is going through the process now. We've got a lot of work to do on that engineering. Ebenezer Railcar, the building permits are in the building department right now, and that's a 97,000 square foot manufacturing facility for repairing and building rail cars. There's a company that, off the top of my head, it's a company that makes specialized pumps. They're going to be in they're building a 20,000 square foot warehouse and assembly facility in the industrial park. As far as restaurants go, we normally wouldn't hear from them unless they were interested in, say, a 45B plan and they were going to build, or they were going to do significant renovations to a building that would increase the value. So restaurants would usually not in touch, but they don't usually come to the Chamber of Commerce and our development director and myself. So, but we do have some very significant capital construction that's going on. Rosina, for example, once we solve or know all about the sewer issue there, get that solved through Erie County, that'll move forward. And they're also planning other expansion within that area.
What area is that again?
That runs,
3100 Clinton.
yeah, it runs from the Gardenville Industrial Park up to Quinn Street near Shell Fab.
Okay.
It's a brownfield right now, and that brownfield's gonna be cleaned up by Louisiana. So it's a positive.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sally's also Buffalo Truck Center is gonna be opening up in the industrial park. We had the car wash just open up on Clinton and Transit over the
Right.
weekend. We have another one opening, building across the street, so those are the projects that are going on. But as far as restaurants, we don't know.
Right, when is the car wash supposed to start here, do you know?
That's all in the planning process
Yeah.
right now. They have to approach the planning board first.
Yeah, okay, all right,
Take a
thank you.
peek at the planning board agendas, you'll see how busy they are. It's really, really busy.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Anyone further? Beverly's here.
Beverly Lysing, Harwood Road. I was wondering how the budget advisory board is coming along and if they're making any progress, Mr. Hart.
I think we're still in the learning process. We've had 3 meetings so far. I think the most that I can expect from the Budget Advisory Committee at this point will be a review of this year's town budget and recommendations, and hopefully by December we'll have a budget committee that will function completely. And I'm hoping somewhere along the line to step back and let one of the members take over as chairman. So we're working on it, and we're learning a lot as we go through it.
I'm sure you're working very hard on coming up with a budget. When do you think your tentative budget will be available for the public to look at?
That's a very nice segue, because I was going to announce tonight, on our October 7th meeting at 6 p.m., we will be having our first budget hearing. This Thursday, I'll be filing the budget, and we'll have a budget hearing, like I said, at 6 p.m. Yes, the
October
benefit basis.
6th at 6 p.m.?
October 7th at 6 p.m.
Got it all.
That's okay.
Unfortunately,
Right, the
then.
ad valorem will be out on the 19th,
Okay.
and that's the one you'll want to look at.
Right. Unfortunately, you're not going to be getting any insight from this budget committee then toward your tentative budget, is that correct?
Right,
That's
and the
correct.
budget committee also recognized that they didn't think that they could be super useful this year because they had a lot to learn. But next week, Monday's meeting, they're gonna organize themselves, and they've talked about putting some subcommittees in place and things like that, and they're hopeful to be helpful moving forward.
I find that very disturbing because several of us residents have gotten together in the past and have gone over the budget and made suggestions that were possibly included in the budget, and I can't believe that a committee of diligent workers couldn't come up with some ideas to help Sheila with her budget.
I must point out, I did not say they wouldn't provide observations. And they're going to have a copy of the preliminary budget from the supervisor. They're gonna have other information and worksheets that I've been providing them with. They actually was going to suggest that they make recommendations during the October 7th public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
It is,
Thank you, Beverly.
budgeting a town government is not the easiest thing to do, so.
I didn't expect that it would be. I have noticed that in the past I have been diligent in going over things too. So, just with my limited experience, I'm sure that somebody else can pick up on something and maybe help.
Yes, and Beverly, it's very important for people to know when they get that tax bill in the early part of the year regarding their property taxes, that the only two lines that the town receives is the highway and the general fund. There are so many other lines on your bill that when we say the property taxes are going up 2%, it doesn't affect that whole bill. It just affects those two lines. And that's all we control on that whole bill. The sewer is dictated by the Buffalo Sewer Authority. So those are very important items. So when someone says, I pay $7,000 a year in taxes, you're not giving us $7,000 a year. When we break it out, sometimes you're giving us around $1,400 or $1,600. 3/4 of your tax bill is school taxes, and that's this time of year. So, I mean, I think it's important that people really understand their bill. And I have found when I sit down with people and explain to them that, you know, this is your fire district, this is your county, this is your library tax, this is your sewer tax, this is your, what's the service tax. That's not us. We don't get any of that money.
But this is also the time when the Erie County executor is up for grabs, and maybe with the debate going on, some of us may be able to ask them prospective questions that would affect coming down the line too.
Right, but it's, again, the takeaway is those are the two lines that the town receives. And
I
that's what
understand.
the budget is based on. The funding comes from those two lines.
I understand that.
Thank you.
And of course, Beverly, you're more than welcome to attend the budget meeting. It's an open meeting. The public is welcome. And you're actually welcome to come and sit on that committee if you choose to.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the offer.
So,
Okay.
next Monday night, 7 o'clock, right here.
Anyone further?
I got a few questions. My name's Richard Miles, 63 Diane Drive. And I'm very curious, is there any contracts with employees of West Seneca being renegotiated or open before this board leaves? Because we all know, Sheila, you're running into the sunset pretty good. You're not running because you know you won't win, but you have a pretty good sweetheart deal leaving.
Sir, I'm not running because
You know you wouldn't win.
Sir, well, that's your opinion.
Well,
but
that's my opinion.
and that's fine. You're entitled to
And
it.
in
but-
past town meetings, they've said that there would be some contracts reopened, possibly, yes or no.
Any negotiations, sir, aren't public.
I didn't say they were public.
Well, you just
In
asked.
previous town meetings, you said these may be open.
Richard,
May be open.
They are, they may be open, and if the unions.
I mean, that's a big question
Richard,
mark.
Richard, if the unions asked us to reopen negotiations and they were willing to concede or help us, we would talk, sure.
Well, the taxes in West Seneca are unattainable. We have a lot of people in West Seneca that are on a fixed income. I'm on a fixed income. My two daughters have left West Seneca because the taxes are out of control. A lot of young people in West Seneca have left because they can't keep enough money in their escrow account. In my neighborhood alone, we've had 12 houses sold in the last 18 months. And you got up there about 6 months ago and said, West Seneca, quote unquote, Sheila Megan, this is the top place to live in West New York. It's a hot place. I've talked to many people that have over 30 years experience in real estate, and they're laughing at the town board here in the taxes. They're laughing all the way to the bank and all the way to another town.
Richard, the supervisor just explained the tax bill. The first line on your tax bill is the library tax. We don't get that money. The second line is county service tax. We don't get that money. My neighborhood, all the services that my neighbors receive, I pay about $900 a year for everything I get in West Seneca. My $3,000 bill isn't the West Seneca bill. I pay $900 for my services.
You're
So
kind of
for you to
missing the
say-
point, because we can't keep raising taxes. We can't. You're gonna have a ghost town. I mean, look at some of the streets in West
Richard,
Seneca. How many
Richard,
houses are for
hang on one
sale?
second, hang on one second. Why don't you come to the budget committee meeting next Monday night?
I'd love to.
Yeah, just come on over, all right?
I know there's a lot of
We'll try-
mandates in New York
I
State.
mean, we will try to help you understand the budget, and you may have some suggestions or some information that might be useful to that budget committee.
The point that I'm trying to make is there's contracts that are approved in town of West Seneca, in Lancaster, and other residing towns that are unattainable for people that are on a fixed income. They're unattainable. They can't take a 12% tax increase in 2 years, and then you don't think we're gonna cut the taxes in West Seneca in this next budget, do you? Let's be realistic. We'll be lucky if we don't raise them another 6%. And that's unattainable for people that are on a fixed income. I've said my piece. I'll be at the meeting. Thank you for letting me share.
Anyone further? Chief, do you have anything for us tonight?
I do, as a matter of fact. Kind of on a solemn note, Wednesday is the 18th anniversary of 9/11 attacks. 3,000 people were killed in the World Trade Center, Pentagon, in Flight 93. Since then, over 1,000 first responders have died from 9/11 illness, and it is expected by 2021 the casualties of first responders will exceed what was actually collateral damage on 9/11. So I asked everybody to keep all those victims in their thoughts and prayers for 9/11 and have a solemn day of remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Matt English, do you have anything for us tonight?
Nope, nothing, just doing phase 2. We did the rink in August, or in June, and now we're doing the parking lot here.
And it's looking great, Matt. Good crew. Jeff Basca, do you have anything?
Just a reminder that, for anyone dealing with, sidewalk issues with the town, that, the bids will be read September 17th. And then people that are a part of the program will be contacted by us, as far as information on sidewalks.
Thank you, Jeff. Jacqueline Felser, Town Clerk, do you have
Jackie,
anything?
do you know what time the bids will be open? 10 a.m.
Jackie, do you have anything for us? Laura Massett, do you have anything for us?
Just quickly, I have one thing. I want to remind the public that we are hiring and having open interviews on September 12th, 2019 from 2 to 3 p.m. in the youth gym located right inside this building for several positions required for our fall and winter programming. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Tina Hawthorne, Town Attorney, do you have anything for us?
Nothing further.
Thank you. Jean Hart, Council, do you have anything for us?
Not right now.
Bill Hanley, do you have anything for us?
One small topic, the Sun newspaper of West Seneca is doing a public interest story, if you will, and they're asking the residents to go on their Facebook page or their website. They're asking for, what do you want to know about this year's elections? Tell us what issues you want covered. They're gonna ask things like, what are the most important issues? There's some flyers on the back table back there. And if you go on their website, there's a question and answer for any of the residents.
Thank you, Bill. And just a reminder, as I said, December 7th at 6 p.m. in this CCL, we will be holding the budget hearing followed by the town. October. Did I say September?
December.
December.
October.
So close. But anyways, thank you, Emily. See, that's my chief of staff. She's the best. So we'll see you in a couple weeks. But for all those men and women who have served this great country and continue to serve, we thank you. Good night, everyone.